Hello, everyone. I'm Colin of WrestleZone.com, joined by the voice of Ring of Honor Wrestling, Bobby Cruz. Bobby, how you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. We were just talking before and on the air, but obviously, I wish we could have met under more pleasant circumstances because we are sitting here recording on a Wednesday, just a few days before Ring of Honor Final Battle, end of an era, literally being in the name. Tells you what you need to know. It will be a historic, a very emotional, eventful, whatever adjective you want to use. It probably fits because it's going to be a very special show. So, Bobby, heading into this very meaningful show here on Saturday, which will be the end of this prestigious, unforgettable era of Ring of Honor. Where's your head at in terms of how you're approaching the show, how you're feeling about the show, all things considered?
Oh, honestly, a complete bag of mixed emotions. I've been thinking back about the Ring of Honor memories in my 17 years with the company. This would be my 18th final battle. And if you would have talked to me 2 months ago before the news came out, I would have thought I'd make it to 20 with no problem. But it's been interesting. I haven't got a lot of sleep this week as we get closer to final battle, I'm not happy about that. I like to sleep, but it's just been it's a tough situation. There's no other way to put it. It is what it is, and end of an era is a perfect tagline. And I think there's thoughts. Is it the final battle? There's all sorts of different cliches out there. So I guess a mixture of emotions. I can't decide yet if I want to get to the arena on Saturday ultra early and just take everything in and hang out, or if I want to get there a little later then. So I'm not there for 10 hours, say, leading up to the pay-per-view. And so I haven't made a decision on that yet.
I mean, I don't blame you on that one, but we're sitting here now in December, so I don't know, a little over a month since the announcement that Ring of Honor will be going on hiatus the first quarter of 2022. With some time to kind of process and just kind of to sit on that major announcement and that major kind of shift, because you just said 2 months ago we were sitting here kind of business as usual, assuming Final Battle would be the last pay-per-view of the year before heading into 2022, but now it is the last pay-per-view of Ring of Honor as we currently know it, with a very uncertain future. So now kind of sitting here sometime later, kind of compared to your maybe initial reaction, what were your thoughts about, as we talked about Final Battle specifically, but maybe more about the Ring of Honor situation at this point?
I've been trying to think of a word to use. I can't even use the word shocked, but I definitely would use the word, I'm not happy about it. And I'm not happy about it for me personally, but also for a lot of the people on the roster. You have people, I'm fortunate I have a quote unquote day job that I've had for 20 years, never mind my 17 years in Ring of Honor. So, I'm more concerned and unhappy for this result for the talent that they are professional wrestlers. And this is what they do. They don't have that day job to lean back on, and they have families, and they, some have relocated over the past year or so to move to better weather with their families and so forth. So I guess pissed off would be a good term I could use as well. It's just not a good situation. I look at things from this point, and I was talking to someone at November TV tapings about this, one of the talents. If you look at our talent roster, which has always been great, somebody leaves, somebody else steps up, somebody else comes in. That's never been a problem, the in-ring product. And for a long time, I always thought our production was a little lacking compared to the talent. So if our talent in the ring was an A, maybe our production was a C. But I think in the past couple of years, especially Ring of Honor has made the investment, not only in personnel, but also equipment and so forth. And I think everything, talent roster, production, TV production, our video packages, everything, social media, it's all an A. So if you look at it from that point of view, this shouldn't be happening. You have companies, whether it's in wrestling or outside of wrestling, that aren't run correctly, and they, lose money and they go under or so forth. But to me, this should not be happening. And I can't wrap my head around that part of it, because none of those things are an issue. Those are all great across the board. So it's not like something is being done poorly when it comes to the in-ring product or the production side or anything like that. So that's really frustrating.
Of course it is, obviously, especially you were just saying you've been there 17 years. That's been your home. It's been the place you've been. But not to get too far into the weeds here, but I think it's a fair question to ask. I've talked to Shane Taylor about it, and he's someone that's been a little outspoken about maybe some of the reasons why something that shouldn't be happening is happening. With you having so much experience at Ring of Honor, kind of being there for so long now, having that kind of perspective on it, with that stance that it should not be happening. The claim that it's the best wrestling in the world, it's a very fair one. It's the product's amazing, the talent's amazing. Ring of Honor has invested in, as you were saying, the production, everything. At least maybe again, I sit on the outside, but for you being kind of literally in the company, being there for so long, not to ask like why do you think it's happening, but more just like what do you think went wrong in some ways with that the mindset you're just talking about.
I think there's some things just on the periphery that I think could have been done differently. I think there should have been more promotion for the company. I don't, we would go into a town like Philadelphia and have a low advanced ticket sales where a company like MLW, who has TV and so forth and does a great job, but hasn't had certainly the in Philadelphia specifically the reputation that Ring of Honor has had and so forth. And they would go in and sell it out, and we'd be panicking. Not seeing people panic, but I just know behind the scenes it's kind of like, what's going wrong? Why are we not at least 3/4 filling this place? Because the old ECW arena is not Madison Square Garden, and it's so I think that had been brought up at different times. Why aren't we doing promotion for the company? I think in the beginning when Sinclair took over the company, there was a lot of appearances by talent over on, because Sinclair owns so many stations across the country, on different news or weather or something like that. And it just seems to me, I've seen it this week, of course, leading up to Final Battle when it's kind of too little too late, but I haven't seen a lot of that being utilized the way it could have been in the past couple of years, especially. I just think that we kind of maybe just rested on our laurels a bit and said Ring of Honor has been so good for so long and people will always be interested in it. And there's been waves over the years in my time with the company where, we weren't always the cool kids, and you'd kind of ride that wave and then you become the cool kids again. And it just didn't happen this time. And who knows, maybe it would have happened in 2022. We would have become the cool kids again, but it's just, they've treated us so well as far as paying us throughout the pandemic. That's been well documented and so forth, and that's of course appreciated. But so I don't want to bury anybody or anything like that. I'm on the outside of things as far as the business for the most part. But you kind of just search for answers, and like you asked the question, and I know you said Shane mentioned some answers. You asked the question; those are the things that popped in my head first, and the things that I've been thinking about is promotion and just utilizing the talent out there in the media platforms that we have had to use, and I don't think we've done a very good job of that lately.
I mean, it's disappointing because it's almost uncanny. That's pretty much exactly what Shane Taylor had said when we talked about it. So, unfortunately, we sit here now, as you were saying, maybe some of the appearances on the media now a little too late, and don't want to get too far into the weeds of being negative. It is a time to be always try and be optimistic in a bittersweet situation. We'll talk more about maybe Final Battle specifically, but trying to frame it in a more positive light now. With this era ending, we've already seen several, I would say, Ring of Honor icons kind of like moving on to their next chapters in many ways. Jay Lethal signed up AEW. The Bisco brothers are doing great things. They're the GCW type champions now. They're setting the world on fire practically at this point. I'm sure they'll do great things, still do great things moving forward here. So is there any kind of solace in that of knowing, especially unfortunately there's not a place for every single person, and that's a very hard thing, but for maybe some, at least seeing the Ring of Honor legacy continue to live on as it already has. Many of past icons, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, others have flourished elsewhere, and now kind of seeing that legacy continue despite an unfortunate sort of situation here.
I guess maybe to a point, but as you said, and you're right on the money, and it's what I've thought about for these guys is there's not a place for everybody. It's just not going to happen, and that's what really bothers me about this whole situation. You're probably going to have a handful of the top talents like Lethal, the Briscoes. I wouldn't be surprised to see Taven, Bennett, these guys show up somewhere, but for a majority of this roster, it's back to the indies, and you would hope that their TV time and the name that they've made for themselves in Ring of Honor will help maybe with their rate as a parent, pre Ring of Honor days as opposed to that. So, but I even look at someone like myself. I'm 17 years in Ring of Honor. Am I branded now? It's like I'm typecast, maybe. Like an actor that plays a certain role and they can't get out of it. And 17 years in Ring of Honor, is anyone else going to want me as a ring announcer, or are they just going to think Ring of Honor? So, because I feel like I'm not done. I definitely don't want to be done. But it is just a situation, an unfortunate situation that none of us have ever gone through before. Really don't know how to handle it, and it's just awkward.
Absolutely, I can't even imagine what it must be like. But you mentioned, I saw a tweet you had sent out not too long ago, saying that you don't want to be done. That like your Final Battle is this end of an era, but you don't want to be done. And I think there's some fair concern about whether you'll be typecast, but especially recently, the past several months. Admittedly, maybe we didn't know right away, but upon this announcement, Maria Kanellis Bennett posted a pretty lengthy statement, and she's specifically named you as someone who has been very instrumental in rebuilding, reshaping, crafting really a resurgent Ring of Honor women's division, and that's something that we didn't get to really credit you, like maybe as it was happening, but then maybe in hindsight in a way, and now with the final battle being the culmination of that. Talk to me about like kind of maybe what we didn't get to see there. What has your role been behind the scenes of helping helm this women's division and seeing it reach heights that 2 years ago really like just weren't even there. Like it's been built up from the ground up, and as Maria had said, you've been a very, very important part of that.
I had I had talked to Ring of Honor maybe 3 years ago about wanting to be involved with creative with the women's division, and they had made the decision at that point that it was going to go into kind of the overall booking committee for the company, and I kind of let it go from there. And then through the pandemic, when we came back with, taping the Pure tournament and the great reviews that got, really, I started to talk to the office again and said, we have to get a women's division going, because every other wrestling company on television was not only featuring women in a women's division, but they were prominently featuring it. And we were the only ones that didn't have it. And so I had been on them for several months. And it's not like they told me, no. They said, we know we have to do it, but they wanted to do it the right way. And little did I know that besides that, Maria had been, and her husband, Mike Bennett, had been talking about returning to Ring of Honor. And Maria had specifically been talking about working on a women's division. So it was about this time last year. It was like December last year. We had a TV taping in Baltimore, and I said, I was talking to one of the talents, and I said, I want to help and get the women's division going, and said, I thought Maria was doing that. So then I talked to some other people in management, and it come to find out that we both had the same goal. We both had the same idea as far as getting a women's division going, doing it the right way, giving deserving women opportunities and so forth. And I remember being on a call with Ring of Honor management and talking about this. And I said, we can't just hit a home run with this. We need to hit a grand slam, because the women's division in Ring of Honor previously didn't have the best reputation and wasn't viewed as a viable option of really overall good women's wrestling and so forth. Certainly. And it's tough. It was tough too, because that bar is set so high with the guys. It has been for years in Ring of Honor. So there was that gap between the quality of the guys in the ring and the quality of the women and what we were producing. And it really wasn't even the talent at the time. It was just there wasn't a lot of time given to it. So we started talking. Jonathan Gresham actually was involved with kind of like helping out, recommend talent early on in 2021. The first 4 women we brought to Baltimore for kind of women's division Wednesday taping, but also tryouts were 4 that he had recommended. We ended up signing 2 of them, and then just kind of snowballed from there. I haven't talked about it a lot. I wanted to stay completely behind the scenes. I got asked this question yesterday doing an interview also, in my response, and it's, someone said to me, why didn't you put your name out there as far as being involved and creative with the women's division? the answer is simple. What would that gain the women's division? You know, I'm a ring announcer. Nobody cares that Bobby Cruz is part of booking the Ring of Honor women's division. But Maria has a name, has respect, has this legacy that she has in women's wrestling and all these other different roles. So the fact that she was the front person in front of the camera on social media, but also it's a shoot behind the scenes. She's literally one of the two people producing this new women's division. It made perfect sense just to have her be out there and so forth. And kind of, you know, I was working with her and doing stuff behind the scenes, but there was certainly no need to put it out there. The only reason I'm talking about it now is I've been asked several times and it's ending. So,
Right.
you know, why I can talk about it now. And it's been a year basically, and the women's division has flourished, has done very well, has gotten great reviews, good views on social media, on YouTube especially, and so forth. You know, we could talk about the women's division for an hour. I love to talk about it. This is the most fun I've had in my 17 years of Ring of Honor. The most rewarding, personally, has been working on the division, working with Maria, working with the talent. It's been a blast, and that is, aside this 17 years of ring announcing going away, that is really. If my heart was half broken from losing the ring announcing in Ring of Honor, the other half went with the women's division, because this is. I think we had some. You know, we had the first quarter of next year already planned out as far as where we were going and with who and so forth, and it just kind of have to rip it up. It is heartbreaking.
Absolutely. But to elaborate, you know, you say it's the most fun you've had in 17 years. Like what about it? Beyond the obvious, that the fact you and Maria helped take something that wasn't there and turned it into a great success. Like maybe like what were some of your favorite parts of it in a more specific sense? Like what will not say what you missed the most, but what did you enjoy the most throughout the process of that?
Working with the talent, you know, much closer than I would as a ring announcer, obviously, being involved with them, the passion that these women athletes had for wrestling. You know, they didn't want to be women's wrestlers or female wrestlers or whatever. They wanted to be just given the opportunity to be wrestlers and to not go out there and just be given 3 or 4 minutes for a match and so forth. And so I'm really proud of the opportunities we gave them, but I'm even more proud of the talent stepping up and grasping those opportunities and running with them. And they all have. It has just been, it's been so good. It's, you know, we had the tournament that we taped in July that ran through the end of the summer and led up to the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. I thought the tournament was tremendous. You know, I had 15 great women athletes in there doing their thing. You know, it kind of, when Maria and I were working on it, you know, it's like you looked at the talent that as we're putting the brackets together, and it's like, well, you know, half this field is going to be gone in the first round. And it's crazy because really none of them should in a real life tournament. None of this, they're so talented. They shouldn't have been gone in the first round, but everyone's and there was no problems. You know what I mean? Nobody was hurt by it. No one was giving a hard time or anything like that. Everyone understood that they were there and part of a team. And that's one thing that I've said in interviews before and said to the talent. Maria and I have stressed team on this the whole way. And Maria and I have been a team at the top, kind of as the coaches, but the overall women's roster has been a team. Production behind the scenes has been part of the team. Social media has been part. You know, it's all this stuff that we have to send them to get out on certain days and announce this match or whatever. And everyone has been so awesome and so supportive. You know, it's, I think 99.9% of what Maria and I have wanted to do in the women's division in 2021, we've been able to do. There hasn't been interference from you know, executive producer Hunter. There hasn't been interference from the office. They have let us do what we have wanted to do with the team we had, and I think they saw the results of that. They've been hands off, and the Ring of Honor women's division has never been like it was in 2021, and not even close. And if that comes across as arrogant, I'm sorry. It's not because of me. It's part of the whole team. But I had said this over the summer when things were really cranking and we had the tournament going and so forth. And one of my closer friends in the company said, you know, you should be a little more humble about the success of the women's division. I said, why would I be humble about it? Look at it. It's doing something that it never happened in Ring of Honor. And I was proud of it. And so if someone wanted to get offended by that, then, oh, well, I will go to my grave talking about the Ring of Honor women's division and the success of it in 2021.
You know, absolutely. It's been amazing to see that to see that growth, to see that again, building from nothing to something very successful, and again, trying to be optimistic about it. We know that the champion right now, Roxy, will go on, so she'll make her MLW debut in January. So hopefully, many of these very talented people will continue to thrive elsewhere. And I would say, if/when they do, I would definitely credit the Ring of Honor Women's Division, as we've seen it in 2021, as you've just been saying, as a big credit to that, to getting these talent out there, to getting them on the map like that, maybe more so than they'd already been. So I think that'll be a lasting legacy in that regard. So you mentioned having your heart half broken about the ring announcing, half broken about the women's division. For me, especially before 2021, having watched Ring of Honor for several years, you were the voice of Ring of Honor. You're the ring announcer, and we're talking about 17 years. Obviously, you're someone that's just had quite literally a front row seat to countless amazing moments, matches, just and so many amazing things here throughout your time in Ring of Honor. So now, at a very fitting time to look back on it all, do you have any favorite moments / matches that you'll kind of carry with you as highlights, or things that kind of stand out apart from the rest?
It's so hard over 17 years because you pile up so many different memories, so many great matches and so forth. But I always go back to my what's the word I'm looking for? My trusty 3 or 4, I guess. One of them was in New York City at the New Yorker Hotel, the ballroom they had there before we moved over to the Manhattan Center, and then downstairs the Hammerstein Ballroom, a bigger venue, obviously. This New Yorker Hotel was a very much more intimate setting, and that's where we had Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi, which that atmosphere that night I could talk about for years. It was awesome. The match was awesome, just beating the hell out of each other and so forth. So that was one. Another one was the unification match between Bryan Danielson as the world champion and Nigel Mcginnis as the pure champion in Liverpool, England, of course, in front of the home crowd for Nigel over in England. That was another one that was great. Fans knew they were going to see history that night, even before they got to the building, seeing one guy walk out with both titles. So anytime you have something like that with a crowd like that, that's really cool. And then CM Punk's final night in Ring of Honor in Chicago Ridge, Illinois, his home city, basically, and against longtime pal and fellow Chicago and Colt Cabana. That's another one that really stands out. But anytime I talk about these, I never talk about Madison Square Garden, which is ridiculous. Because why wouldn't I talk about Madison Square Garden? I don't know if it's still too recent, maybe, but because all those memories that I mentioned previously are all kind of older memories. But it's obviously Madison Square Garden. Walking out there and standing in front of a packed house at Madison Square Garden and having both my daughters there to see and everything was really, really something that I'm sure will never happen for me again. And that's something that's for one night. Some of these things that are one night you really have to cherish.
Hard to disagree with any of those choices. All of them, all time moments for Ring of Honor here, and with those moments, with so many more to kind of to look back on here. Ring of Honor obviously has built up to such an amazing legacy, and I mean, obviously, you had said earlier you're pretty much on the outside of the business side of things, but I think it's a fair thing to ask here. Ring of Honor said they're going on hiatus with the intent and plan to return, albeit with a reimagined vision for the company. So, as someone that we've been talking about that's been there for 17 years, that has known Ring of Honor as it has been, what do you hope to see for the future of Ring of Honor? What do you think the future holds for it? What are your kind of thoughts on the company's overall future at a time when it faces a lot of uncertainty, and at the very least, it seems like change is guaranteed. We just don't quite know what it will be.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like everyone else. I don't know. I would hope if the company does come back in April for Supercard of Honor as planned, that at least a majority of the talent is brought back that needs to work, that isn't picked up by one of the other major companies. That's not first and foremost for me. But I don't know. My contract's up. And, to me, it's up midnight on December 11th, going to the 12th. That's when Final Battle is going to be an hour off the air, and I really don't have anything else to do. There is women's division social media content and stuff that Maria and I will be producing through the end of the year, and actually into 2022. I'll be basically working on this stuff with no Ring of Honor deal, because we need to wrap some stuff up, and I think it's the right thing to do. But I don't know what to expect. It's very vague, and when they told us that it's going to be a new vision, a new concept, and for Ring of Honor, I don't even know what that means. I don't know if they know what that means yet either. I was told 2 or 3 years ago by someone with a lot of power in Ring of Honor on the talent and production side that he had said to me, he's like, as long as I have any power here, you'll be here. And I can't even hold this person to that anymore, because this is just something completely different. And I wouldn't even be offended if I'm still available in April and they run this event in April and I'm not part of it. I'm not going to go to this guy. Well, you said you had, I'd still be part of it if you still had any power and you're still here. Why am I not? Again, it's a completely different thing. It's a reset button. And I hope it happens. I hope, again, that they utilize some of the talent that will not end up elsewhere as far as major promotions for their sake of their families and so forth. And I hope that whatever it is well thought out and goes very well. And it would be stupid for me to think anything else. So hopefully that all happens.
I couldn't agree more with that. But for me, you're talking about contract ending and the future here maybe being brought back. When they made the announcement about going hiatus, and other reports spoke about the talent contracts not being renewed and all that kind of stuff. For me, along with the planned return in April, there's something just so interesting about the plan to return kind of from ground zero in a way, where you're going from, all the contracts are expiring and they're having the plan to come back entirely different. I feel like they would kind of need to keep some people on, and maybe more so in a non-wrestlers sense. But is there any indication that there be any kind of holdover, or is it just entirely nobody knows anything and we're all kind of just riding out and seeing what happens?
I know personally, I know nothing. I know, like, Maria knows nothing, because we talk, obviously we work so closely together. And I haven't really talked to a lot of other talent. I'm sure I will at Final Battle during the day on Saturday at the arena. But I know nothing about me personally or anything or anyone else. I did get a text message from someone who works in production I think it was last week, saying, I hope, when we come back in April, I hope you're there. I hope you're part of it. And I said, to me, especially, and I know they got a ton of things going on in the office, but to me, I look at it, you need a ring announcer, you need a couple referees, so forth. Especially after 17 years and the work I've done in the women's division, I would think that someone in the office would say something to me now and say, okay, there's no contract, whatever, but we want you there in April, so forth. And that hasn't been said. So that's all I can go off of. People in the company can say that to me, or, production manager, not production manager, he didn't say it, but like, production people can say stuff like that. And it's great to hear. And I appreciate it, but I have nothing to go off of. To me right now, because I know nothing else, if and when they do something in April, I'm not part of it. That's how I'm looking at it right now.
Well, to state the obvious, you certainly deserve to be, or qualified to be, should be, based on your tenure, your experience, what you bring to the table as an announcer, as you're just saying.
That's it. You're my agent. You are not my agent, Colin.
There you go. We're making progress here. But to bring it full circle here and wrap up, Ring of Honor Final Battle will be this Saturday, December 11th. We talked about maybe just in a more general sense earlier, but to put a pin on it, heading in the show here, you talked about maybe like not wanting to get to the beginning too early or going through that, but just like what is the show really going to mean to you, kind of as you head into it? Like, what you mentioned the mixed emotions, but like just to elaborate on that, because just it's a show unlike any other that we've had in recent memory.
Yeah, I want to. No matter what time I get there, I want to take it all in, especially when I get out to the ring. When I'm out there for those 4 hours, I know that I'm going to see a lot of familiar faces in the first several rows of fans that have been Ring of Honor fans for a long time, that have followed Ring of Honor around different places. And that's going to be an emotional thing, because I have become friends with some of these fans, there was maybe a handful of fans. I told the story recently that we mentioned before, that I kept it quiet about, my work with the women's division, but a few fans that I've known for years, I actually let them know, because I wanted their honest opinion comparing to what we were doing now, as compared to what they had seen previously with the women's division. And, those people have been so supportive, not only of Ring of Honor over the years, but me personally. And so that's going to be tough. I worry about a couple of things. I worry about, because we have the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship match between Willow and Roxy, and we have the Ring of Honor World Title match between Gresham and Bandito. And the way we do our world title intros is we do the old style, in-ring intros, boxing style intros, whatever people want to call it. So during those intros, especially at the start of those intros, the cameras and the focus is on me. And I don't know that I'm not going to get emotional announcing either one of those. And I obviously don't want to. I don't want to diminish or take away from those matches and what's going on, but I have no idea what to expect with those. So those two specifically, I'm worried about. So we'll see what happens. But it's, I know the plan, working with the women's division, but just overall, the plan for Ring of Honor is to go out with a huge bang on this, to create moments that fans are going to remember for a long time. And if it is the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view or the last Ring of Honor event or just the last event for 3 months, the focus as to what we are going to do as a company is to have moments that fans remember and really make an impact and are good for the wrestling world in general. So I'm looking forward to that stuff, seeing and hearing the reactions of the fans when they just sit there for 4 hours and hopefully are blown away and on the edge of their seats.
Couldn't think of a better way to wrap it up there. So, Bobby, do you want to plug your social media?
I'm a very boring tweeter, but it is at Real Bobby Cruz, CRUISE. I don't tweet much, but I'm boring. I don't know why anyone would follow me, but that's really it there. Of course, the Ring of Honor Twitter and so forth. I did want to mention one thing actually in closing, if I could. We talked about the women's division, just doubling back to that for a second. Maria and I have been talking to our production staff over the past couple of weeks, and we are looking, and it looks like it's going to happen, producing a kind of a Ring of Honor women's division marathon leading up to the end of the year, sometime between, maybe the middle of December and the end of December, where our YouTube channel, Ring of Honor YouTube channel, will literally just have a marathon of Ring of Honor women's content, which I think will be really cool. And my hope is we'll do it in chronological order. So starting in January all the way through December, as far as our women's division Wednesday content and so forth.
That's awesome. Yeah, and as soon as any announcement comes out, we will keep you all posted on that. But with that, stay tuned for that. And obviously stay tuned for Ring of Honor Final Battle, End of an Era on December 11th. And with that, Bobby, I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.